So 10 years from now, it will end because it is in statute through the voter approval process that it will die at the end of its 20 years, whether the projects it was supposed to do are done or not. It ends at 20 years. I asked, would you extend it for an additional 10, or would you let it die? That's kind of what I was getting. So,
okay.
So we had some call there. So you had said about 10 years for maintenance and something else, and that's what I was wondering. So are you for letting it end at 20 years, or would you be okay with extending it for an additional 10 after the 20 years is over?
I think we need to cross that bridge when we get closer to it.
Okay.
I believe if we're going to have an additional sales tax, it needs to be under county jurisdiction. This is a future plan. We need a now plan. And in order to have a now plan, we need to cut what we need to cut to start funneling it into our road repair at a county level.
10 years goes really fast. That's why I was
Yeah,
so,
I know.
Just very quickly, Ms. Closen kind of poo-poos the whole RTA plan, as they've done some pretty good things. Let me tell you, they've done 700 roadway and transportation improvements in this county over the last 10 years, many of them right here in Green Valley and Sahuarita. And for her to brush it off as doing a pretty good job shows that she does not have the full grasp of what roads and infrastructure need to be in this community, and that the RTA is the most effective and meaningful plan that we have as far as fixing our roads.
How do you know? Because they don't do road maintenance.
All right. We're going to go to the last. We're going to go to the last question, and then we're going to let you give your closing statement. So the bonding system that was established by the state of Arizona and given authority to cities and counties in the state of Arizona was established almost 7 years ago to allow local governments to borrow money for the purposes of adding infrastructure, sewer plants, road construction, new courthouses, and whatnot. It seems over the last few years that both local here in the city of Tucson and Pima County have not been using bonds for that purpose. We have a bond review committee that basically approves bonds. I'll give you an example. The road maintenance bonds. Generally, you don't use bonds for maintenance. You use bonds to build new roads and then earth revenue to maintain those roads. You use bonds to build a new sewer treatment plant. You use bonds to build infrastructure. But it seems that we've gotten away from that, and we're now using bonds for just keeping the lights on, which I think is something that's scary. If county governments basically can then put the taxpayers in a position where if you don't approve the bond, we're going to turn your lights out, or turn your sewers off, or not pay for the roads. So what would you do to change the bond culture with regard to the bond committee that the county has to ensure that bonds are what they were intended to do, and that's to add new infrastructure, not maintain old infrastructure that's costly?
Well, I think we've already made a step in the right direction by defeating the $816 million worth of bonds. What the voters have to come up and say, we don't want bonds. Our county is $1.4 billion in debt, that's with a B. We would have added over $1 billion in additional debt had those bonds passed. I am not against bonds entirely, but our county it does not have the economic solidity to be bonding for everything. We need to get back to basics. We need to reinforce our county economic infrastructure. And I mentioned all of this before, of the things that I think we need to do to create an economically productive county. And we need to provide our roads from our trim budget and our savings, not from bond sales.
So to put it in terms that an average person, might face, I see bonds as the payday loan business. If somebody's not getting by day to day, they go to the payday loan provider. Now they're paying interest on top of the problems they already have. They still have the same problems. They haven't fixed them. They kicked a can down the road and made their situation worse. Bonds should only be used for infrastructure projects, for things that are true investments, that we fully expect more benefit to come back from than just spending that money now. If we're trying to raise bonds to just pay our day-to-day business, that's so wrong. We've got to fix the root cause of the problem, which is managing the budget correctly and setting proper priorities.
Going back to business experience, owning and operating your own business, and how you would approach financial issues with your business. One of the worst things you can do is run up corporate debt with high interest rates and long-term repayment plans. The bonding capacity and the bonding issues of Pima County are nothing more than a credit card run amok. And this county has had its fair share of bonding. We're still paying for bonds. I believe that if you take a business person's approach to how you're going to manage your money, how you're going to set your priorities, where you're going to trim waste, and where you're going to make economic development pay for the things that we really need to be paid for, and economic development should pay for those things. That's where our priorities should be, and not the heavily addictive reliance on bonds to pay for things that we shouldn't be paying for.
I have a quick one. District 4 rejected the bonds in the biggest percentage of any other district. I was on the bond committee to defeat the bonds. I was an official spokesman, and that reinforces the fact of how strongly I feel that bonding is not the way to go.
We each have 2 minutes to give you, 1 minute, I'm sorry. Thanks, Dan. Just keep me. That's why we're here. We're yin and yang. All right. So, Mr. Back, we're going to start with you. You get 1 minute, and then we'll each close 1 minute.
Thank you for your time today to come and listen to us speak. I've got nothing but respect for both my opponents. I think Pima County would be great with any of us. But I think we need to look at how we choose our candidates and have over the past 20 years. Is it the person with the most wealth, the most political connections, the name we've heard most often? That hasn't served us well over the past 20 years. Me, as someone who's never ran for office before, an average citizen, I'm here to make a difference, and I don't owe anything to anyone other than to each of you. And I think the testimony to that is the laughs that I've had out of this campaign piece. It says, does county government leave a bad taste in your mouth? And it's a box of mints. If you're laughing, you agree with me, you can get yours back in the back of the room.
I want to thank you all also for your time and the effort to be down here. It means a lot to me as well. 40 years of owning and operating a business and managing it in Pima County gives me insights that I think none of the other candidates have at this particular point when it comes to understanding the fabric, the ideals, the dreams, the visions, the aspirations, the Pima County values that I hold dear from living here all my life, having a business, raising a family, meeting payroll every pay period, paying my property taxes and contributing to my community. I bring that business voice, that business perspective to the board. Couple that with 5 years experience of serving on the State Transportation Board and the Regional Transportation Authority, I have that insight on how roads and infrastructure should be planned, programmed, and completed. I bring both the private enterprise and the public policy together, and those tools will be utilized by me. I'll be the voice of business, and I'll be your voice on the Pima County Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
Pima County is a beautiful place to live, but wouldn't it be fortunate if we had to leave, our businesses and our family had to leave because it's become economically unsustainable and too unsafe to remain here? This idea may become a reality if we continue down the path that we are on right now. Spending irresponsibly without priority, providing favors to friends of 20 years, and continuing this status quo governance at the expense of the taxpayer for the benefit of the chosen few. If you want a supervisor who is beholden to no one but you, the taxpayer, who has the hard work, performs the hard work needed to find out what the solutions are, and the actual proven leadership experience to enact those solutions, then I ask for your vote because I will be that supervisor. Thank you for having us today.
On behalf of the Quail Creek Republican Club and the Sahuarita Tea Party, we wish to thank you all for coming. We want a special thank you to the moderators and the debaters, and we thank you for coming out and spending your time. I also want to thank Lee Cornelison and the Woolies, Don and Patty, because they put a lot of work into this. The bar is opening. So please stick around, talk to to the candidates, talk to the moderators. If you didn't hear a question you were concerned about, the candidates are going to be here and you will have that opportunity. There are 5 candidates running for county supervisor here. A state senate candidate, a state house candidate, 2 corporation commission candidates, 2 Pima County sheriff candidates, and 2 constable candidates. And so their names will be listed up here. We think you've sat long enough, and so get the drink of your choice and go socialize. Thank you.